All right, all right, all right. I warned you it was coming. I warned you it was coming. It's coming. It's coming all over. you know, you know, it's well, you don't know. I have to start. I keep saying, you don't know. I'm telling you. Um, you people like these stories. You want to hear these raunchy sex stories. Keep in mind, I'm toning it down. I'm telling you what's going on, but I'm toning it down a little bit for YouTube. All right. So last we spoke on the one that got away, I think it was episode 6. I told a story about the lesbian that I ended up having a night with, where I did this whole technique thing, and she was, psh, psh, and I was describing that, and I said, "Don't worry, the history of this is coming." So today's the day. I could use the term female ejaculation, but somehow that seems creepier than just saying squirting, which is also it's squeamish. I know a lot of women are like, ew. Although the funny thing is I'm finding, man, you ladies are so funny to me that watch my channel. You have a sense of humor. You get it, and you're not bothered by it, by the feedback I'm getting. It's very funny. I was talking to a Jersey girl the other day who I hadn't actually spoken to her before. We have a mutual friend that goes back to our childhood. And this subject came up, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I do that." And we had she knew all about it, and you would think, right? Well, little history on me with this stuff. I was having sex at an early age, but when you're young, you don't really know what you're doing. And the first few times I had sex, I wore a friggin' condom and I didn't have an orgasm. I wasn't masturbating before that. I was popping boners like every other little kid, but I didn't know what to do with it. I wasn't talking to my friends about it. Maybe you grew up that way. I never did that. My friends and I never talked about pulling our puds. It never came up. I've always been kind of a private person. Hard to believe now, right? With that subject. So, but I knew what sex was. We had sex ed in school and everything, and so that was the deal. I had rubbers, and I had sex, but I didn't have an orgasm because I had the condom on. Ruined all the sensitivity for me, so I didn't know what the big deal about sex was. And then eventually, I had sex without a. I was like 15, and my friends. This was at a campground up in the Poconos called Foxwood Campground. My dad had a trailer up there, and I was living in that for part of the summer. And the guys I was friends with, named this girl Horseface, which is, unfortunate. She wasn't the most attractive, but boy, did she have a rockin' bob, bikini bod on her. And we had Humpers Hill and Porker's Point. And so I went up there with her on Humpers Hill there, and it didn't last long, and I had my first orgasm. And of course, as a kid, I didn't know any better. I dumped that right in there. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. Never did it again after that. But that's what happened. And I remember my head exploding and seeing waves crashing. I was surfing by then, and that was the whole thing. And that blew my friggin' mind, because now I understood what sex was, what it was about, and I made up for lost time. It's funny, this this video could be called TMI, the whole video. I didn't do this myself because I didn't know you could. I never. I know it sounds crazy, but I was doing so much fucking already. I never needed to do that, and it was like an accident. I was a junior in high school by the time I first did that. If you can believe, and I was like, what am I going to do with this thing? I don't know what to do with my. And it was like, I remember there was some Vaseline sitting there. And I pulled it out, and I was like, holy shit, you could do it yourself. That's awesome. And what happened was, because I was living alone at 14, so I had no guidance. There was no parents around, and it was easy for girls to come over my place. I was at a different place every year in high school. In the summer, I lived in a boarding house in Seaside Park, and I worked up on the boardwalk. I was having sex almost every day in the summertime, sometimes multiple girls a day. This is not a brag. I'm not bragging. I'm embarrassed by it. But that's what was happening. And what happened for me was I was having so much sex that I learned how to last a long time. And I think it was like Johnny Carson or other comedy shows at the time, and there was adult subject matter I'd listened to, Red Fox, you know, where you get it in your brain that you gotta last longer because the joke is men don't last long a lot of times. So that was the thing. I trained myself to last long. I didn't just pop off all the time. And that is part of the trick with this whole squirting thing. Now, I didn't know. I didn't know that that was a thing. And I remember that wasn't happening in high school, by the way. I don't recall doing that, was having a girl do that at that time. I don't think they knew their own bodies well enough. What I do know, and we'll get to this later, is that pretty much any woman could do it, but they hold back. Because it feels like you're gonna pee, ladies, when you're getting close to that orgasm feeling, and a lot of you hold that in, because you think you're gonna piss, but you're not. That's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing, and you should let that go. Warn the guy first, though, okay? Because what happened to me was I got older, and this really started happening. My education, my squirt education, happened when I was working in a nightclub business at the Jersey Shore. And, same thing. I was meeting girls in the club and bringing them home and having a good time. And pretty frequently, because I could last a long time, it would happen. But I didn't know. And the thing is none of those girls that did that, they didn't know it either. They would always have this look on their face, like of embarrassment and shock, like, oh, what is that? And they thought what I thought was they were pissing on me. I thought all these girls were just pissing on me. I didn't know if you're peeing, like, are you marking your territory? It's like the same thing they do where they leave something there and they show up the next day to get the thing so they could get to know you a little bit better. But, me, I was sport fucking. I didn't even know your name. It was embarrassing for me. You come by the next day, I'm like, oh, hey, right. You left something. Okay. That's what was going on all the time. And it's not like I could have gotten an education from my friends on this. Because I was too embarrassed. What am I going to say to my buddy? Hey, Pete, another chick pissed on me last night. Another chick pissed on me last night. Hey, what the hell's going on? I didn't understand what was going on. And then I got my education, and I don't remember her name. It was too much. I can't remember all these names. I was working at this club, JJ Rockers. I started working the door. Then I became a bartender, and then I was the DJ. And I had the keys to the joint. I used to open the place, close the place, set it up for the bands, all of it. I knew a lot about the nightclub business from that. And there were these two sisters. They were twins that used to come in there. Two little Italian meatballs, right? Big cans. Cute. Crop haircuts. Stocky build. But hot. Hot, hot, hot. At Christmas time, they used to wear like a Mrs. Claus Santa sexy outfit. Low cut with the cleavage there, trimmed in the white fur, mini skirt, hot, 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 hot. And they were dancing, having a good time. Neither one of them would give me the time of day because they were in there every night and they saw what was going on with all us fellows that were working there. We were just, scoring. So I was living on Lafayette Ave in Seaside Park. And 65A Lafayette Ave. There was 3 little buildings on this lot, and this back corner had an upstairs and a downstairs. I was upstairs, then I moved downstairs. And when I moved downstairs, I get this new neighbor. It turns out to be one of those sisters. That was wild, right? So, okay, my buddy is over the house one day, and we're lifting weights. We're downstairs, and she came down to say hi, and she didn't know at the time that I was living there. And that blew her mind. She's like, oh, it's you. So we start talking. We kind of become pals, right? And, one thing leads to another, and you know where this is going, right? We end up getting it on eventually. I'll tell you, the first time it happened, the club closed, and she was going to meet friends at the pad in the park. We had a big parking lot where the houses were. And her friends were waiting for her, and I was driving her home from the club in my van. I had a Chevy 10 van. I'm a van guy. And so we as we're driving back to my place, we're talking about it, and she's amped up, and she's horny. So we park, and her friends are right there. Her friends are 30 feet away, hanging out. But they don't know she's in the van. I guess, it's not like they know. It's dark out. It's freaking 2:30 in the morning or something. So she comes over, starts making out with me. We go in the back of the van, and we have sex right there in the back of the van while her friends are waiting for her. And I'm not going to get too into the details right now because this is YouTube, but it is kind of funny, something that happened there. You open a sliding door when you're done, and we're still getting together, and she goes out with her friends, and then they take off. So her friends were here the whole time while we were fucking. It was kind of crazy. Again, one thing leads to another, and we start having sex from time to time. And the first time it happens, we go up there, and she warns me. And she says, look, I do this thing, which is she ejaculates. Every time she has sex, she squirts. She had plastic on her mattress, between the sheets and the mattress, because of it. And she was the woman who schooled me on this and made me understand what it was. And that, it's not piss and all this other stuff, and that you overstimulate the thing and all that. That's pretty much the story. This is not a long video, but it made me remember. I don't know how to say this. I don't know if I'm going to if you're watching this right now, I chose to put this up. I did one of the kinkiest things I ever did with her. And I'll never forget it because we weren't an item, She was screwing other dudes, and I was bringing girls home all the time. And then from time to time, she and I would get it on. And I'm home one night, and I hear her upstairs having sex, which turned me on, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of hot. But I realized, A, it didn't last very long. So she probably didn't get there, if you know what I'm saying. And B, it wasn't good. I could tell it wasn't good. I can hear everything through the floor. And so within a few minutes, the guy's done, and he leaves, and he walks down the stairs. I'm looking at him right through the window, and he lights up a cigarette, and he walks to his car. Without missing a beat, I go outside, I go upstairs, I knock on her door. She answers the door, he goes, hey, what's up? And I said, you need to get fucked right. So I go right in there, and man, I give it to her, and she used to say these things to me like, "You're the only guy who knows how to fuck me right." It was crazy, man. But that's when I learned. That's how I learned I wasn't being pissed on, and it was an actual real thing that women do. And again, do your research on this because when they test the stuff, it might have a little urine in it. It's not the urine. It's a totally separate liquid. It's really interesting. And every woman's different. I used to screw this Thai chick, and I'm not kidding. When she used to squirt, it smelled like peanut sauce. It's crazy. Crazy. I'm trying to jump to another thing. So what happened with me was that memory was always there. And then I went to school on the subject, and I started studying it. I remember I bought a DVD that taught you the technique, like in a scientific manner with friggin' schematic drawings and everything with that gland. So, as I said last time, pretty much any woman could do it. You should do it. Ladies, if you're having sex and you feel that coming on and you feel like you want to orgasm, but you're afraid you're going to, you got to let it go. You got to communicate that with the fella so he knows you're not pissing on him. I think more people are educated about this now. When I was young, this wasn't common knowledge that everybody knew about. I was pretty young at the time too, so, I didn't know anything. But then I learned it. And then I learned and I worked on it. And then it became my thing. And I have to say this. If you've never experienced it, then you've been with men that are selfish. One of the reasons I wanted to last longer when I was younger was the joke of men not lasting long. Because I wanted to make women feel good. Like, that's the thing, man. Be that guy that puts the woman first. That's the way, to me, that's man's shit. Like, that's one of the, if there's going to be a list of what qualifies you as a man, being a man is being able to pleasure a woman. Make sure you pleasure her first. Because we can pleasure ourselves. We can get off throughout the process. It doesn't matter. Get them off first. The problem with that is, if you do it like that, then you can't get rid of them sometimes. Like they keep coming around. That can be a problem. if that's not what you're looking for from that particular person. So, I don't know. I guess that's about it. I got other things to do, so I'm keeping this kind of short. But and again, I am abbreviating all this and keeping it relatively clean for YouTube. But it's just a funny thing. I just thought you guys would get a kick out of that because when I was young at that time, there wasn't all like today. Young people, I think they know about all this stuff. I mean, porn is crazy. When I was a kid, you didn't. I remember I saw a stag film on my buddy's wall when I was a freshman in high school. That's the first dirty movie I ever saw, and it was a stag film, so it was friggin' weird. And then it was just magazines and stuff like that. And then I remember going to swap meets and buying like, if you saw a porn VHS tape, you'd pick it up. You know, I've talked about this here before because we had a little video store in town, and I was not gonna rent adult videos at my local video store. I mean, I went to high school with the girl working the counter. I dated her. You know, I would talk to her, and I knew who all the perverts in my town were because she would tell me about it and laugh about like who came in to buy what kind of porn. It was crazy. So I wasn't about to do that. And now it's on your phone. And now these kids are so it's astute, makes it sound like it's a different kind of thing, but they know what's going on out there. And I've dated a few younger girls. I mean, I haven't dated anybody in a long time, like years. I don't date anymore. I kind of get, that's why I don't mind doing these videos because I don't give a shit. I gave up on it. I have given up on women 100%. I am not trying to go out with anybody. I'm not trying to date anybody. Who cares? I don't mind exposing myself this way. If I'm offending you, I don't give a shit. I'm not trying to get into your pants. Don't care. But it's probably been 10 years or so. I've gone out with a couple girls that were a lot younger than me, not because I pursued it. I'm not attracted to young women. I prefer women that are older but still fit. We've been over this before. That's my thing. But I've gone out with a few young girls. And it's so crazy what they are willing to do. When I was a kid in high school, if a girl sucked your dick, it was a big deal. I never asked anybody to do that. I was always like, oh my God, it's happening. And I was happy. I was happy it was happening. But I never asked for it because I seemed dirty or something. I don't know. These girls today, a Gen Z girl today, if you don't try to stick it in her ass on the first date, she thinks there's something wrong with you. They're so, all these things, these sexual kind of perversions in a way that we engage in with our partners once the trust is there and everything else. These days, it's just common knowledge, and they're doing all of it because the porn is so accessible. I don't know that that's healthy. At the same time, a lot of younger people, and I talk about this with my friends that have them, they're not having sex either. There's a whole generation of people in their 20s that are still virgins, which is wild. Why? It's probably a good thing. Listen to these videos, and you're never gonna fuck. You're gonna stay away from it. At any rate, I thought you might find it entertaining. That's the story of it. Do your own research, ladies. Let it go. Let it go. Be prepared. Let it go. Let it go. I don't know how to tell you to be prepared because you won't know it's coming until it's coming. And you know you might have to weigh that out. You might want to hold back because you don't want to wreck the mattress. I understand. Get with somebody. Maybe come over. I'll give you a massage. We'll go through the technique. You'll know you can do it, and then you'll know to be prepared with put some towels down or something first. I don't know what to tell you. Fuck on the vinyl couch. I don't know what to tell you because it's going to be a mess. It's just disgusting. I'm just glad to know it's a real thing because had I never learned that, I would have went to my grave thinking 100 women just pissed on me. You understand what I'm saying? That was freaky. I'm just glad I figured this out. That's it. Have a good day. Be kind to one another. Make somebody squirt. I'll catch you in the next one.